You heard Ivanhoe mention that when he met Bayard Rustin, Bayard was with the War Resisters League. And at that point, Bayard was probably 49, 50 years old. And he was working for this was an African-American man, a gay man. He was working for an anti-war organization. He had gotten his start in a faith-based organization, the Fellowship of Reconciliation, which was also basically a peace and anti-war organization. But it was deeply rooted in the Christian faith. It's now a multi-faith organization. But at the same time, he was also working with A. Philip Randolph, who was the head of the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters, I guess the first really African-American labor union in the country. So the point I'm trying to make here is that Bayard, a lot of times people would look at Bayard later in his life, and he was working on immigration issues, he was working on promoting democracy in other countries, and they would say, well, why is he doing all of that thing? There's so much going on back here in the black community. But Bayard was also, he was always somebody about building coalitions, because if he knew you were a member of a minority and you really wanted to accomplish something, you were going to have to create a democratic majority to pass legislation and to make progress. And so a lot of the work that he was doing in the 40s when he was a member of the Fellowship of Reconciliation, he was traveling around the country meeting with community groups, church groups, university groups, student groups, and yeah, he was talking about anti-war issues, but he was also talking about racial conflict in this country. He was talking about the revolution that was going on in India, and out of the Fellowship of Reconciliation actually grew the Congress of Racial Equality, CORE, because Jim Farmer was also a member of the fellowship back in the 40s, and the two of them formed something. It was originally called the Committee on Racial Equality, but it became its own separate organization. So when the March on Washington, yes, Jim Lawson also, yes. So when it came time to put on the March on Washington in 1963, Bayard had 20 years of experience of reaching out to many, many different kinds of organizations and groups. You know, a lot of them, of course, in the African-American community, but also white churches. So they were able to build and pull together this huge coalition, which resulted in 250,000 people going to Washington. So.
Did he follow Albert Einstein? We were trying to figure.
Yeah, I was told that he succeeded. He followed Albert Einstein at the War Resisters League in that chair.
Really?
Yeah.
That's.
I think David Dillinger told me that. You know, way back in the day.
Well, I think maybe Einstein might have been an honorary chair or something, but I can't imagine him doing hands-on work at 5 Beekman Place. Possible, I guess, but.
He was also a pacifist.
Oh yes, yeah, he was a strong supporter of both the FOR and the War Resisters League.